for me personally, I think it's some form of racism, because if you look at what happened in the West during during slavery, and even after slavery, segregation,
Yeah.
close to us, South Africa.
Yes.
It's not that the Africans were not allowed to move around. They were allowed to move around, but there were certain areas they were
Yeah.
not allowed to go, and there were certain things they were not allowed to do.
Japan is facing a massive crisis. It's facing a massive crisis of lack of population growth. So hospitals and schools have been closing in Japan for the last so many years. The biggest crisis they have right now is that they have a very large aging population, and now they are realizing that they have to open the doors for Africans, but they don't want the Africans to be mixing with the Japanese people, so they have created and assigned 4 cities that will become the hometowns for Africans. It makes me laugh because, like, what is it about Africans that, you know what? Yeah, we Africans should just refuse to be treated this way. That they don't want the actual Africans to mix with normal Japanese people, so they have to assign locations where Africans will stay, will be confined.
DLS Wave, and we are back.
Again,
Here we
and
go.
again.
All right, so there's a rumor that is going on around the internet. As usual, we live in the internet age, so you cannot, shy away from these kind of conversations online. You cannot not see them. You're always gonna see them. So it's been stemmed that an initiative by the Japan International Cooperation Agency, known as the JICA, right, sought to promote cultural exchange between 4 Japanese cities and African nations. But there's been a brouhaha online about it, saying that this initiative is meant to bring African migrants to work for Japan, because Japan has an increasingly huge number of aging population. They need workers to pretty much build up and develop, what the older generation is kind of leaving behind. So this is going on online. It's really brutal, because people are kind of saying it's like the modern day slavery. Again, they're saying they're building these settlements, in different areas to house Africans, so they do not come into contact with the local Japanese people, which literally defines what segregation is. So is that right in 2025, Mr. L? People have come out to debunk the story, but people also say, okay, regardless of what the truth might be, does it still make sense that you put the African migrants in one particular spot?
I think it's true, because I saw it on major news platforms. So it's just something that came, I think, a week or 2 ago. But yeah, I can understand if a country wants to structure their immigration, because take it or leave it, you have foreigners coming in, and you have problem with where you place them, and documentation and all that. So yeah, it might, on the surface, it looks like a good way. And actually, the document says that it is a hometown. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's a gated place where people are going to stay. But on the flip side, when you look at it, I'm just asking the simple question: why don't just make it open immigration? If you think you want to come and you qualify, you come, look for a job with your skills or your knowledge or your experience. Why do you have to set up hometowns for people? It's kind of basically like telling people, yeah, you can come with your skills or whatever, but yes, we prefer you to stay here. That is the aspect that I don't like. Let me come and stay wherever I find opportunity, but don't tell me that you are setting up a hometown for me. Someone might easily think of it as being you trying to segregate me and relegate me to a specific environment. You know what I mean? So yes, it might be a sweeter, it's like kind of like sugar coating. Maybe someone will think they don't want to directly say, oh, we want to encamp you in a certain area. So they're just using this hometown word to sugarcoat the whole thing. So that's where I think a lot of people are coming from with their criticism, and that's where I also have a problem. Why don't you just make it open? Why do you say we're creating hometowns for people? And it's only for 4 African countries: Ghana, Nigeria, Tanzania. I forget the last country.
I think Mozambique.
Yes.
Mozambique.
So why don't you make it?
Why
don't you make it open for all Africans? Why are you choosing just 4 African countries? Because maybe you've seen some value in those countries that they can contribute But even that, if you see that they can contribute, why are you putting them? Why are you setting up hometowns for them? Just tell them, hey, you can come and look for opportunity if you qualify for this and this and that. So that's what my problem is.
Well, this one, for me, when I heard it initially, I was like, wow, that's not bad because yes, they do have an aging population. They do have problems with earthquakes and here and then. They need that revamp, right? And they are willing to have a whole town for us. Like if you compare it, it's like when you come to China, Guangzhou, Guangzhou is like known for like the hub of like
Africa. Yeah.
Africans, right? Yeah. So that is how I looked at it. It looks positive. We can go there, do your stuff, live within the rules, and then everything will be fine. But when you just raise the segregation and stuff, sometimes, yeah, although we do, if you have a goal, right? If you have your goal and you're like, okay, fine, I'm traveling, but my aim is to make this quick money in a certain time, right? And go back home. This will not be a problem because yours is to just go there and make your money and leave. But if you have a different agenda or a different aim, to be precise, that okay, I'm going, I'll find a woman, I'll make a living, and that place will be my home, as in my new
Yeah.
home. Then you have a lot of questions, or they have a lot of questions to answer, right? Because if you are inviting me to your home, yes, although there are limitations to what I can do in your home, I should not feel like I'm stuck in one corner, just like in quote unquote in a cell, right? So that is where I think the communication there is not right. They need to come and clarify things. And then the last one is I feel that um when they want to deal with like other African countries, look, here we are here. We can all tell some of these countries, they kind of, it's easy for them to link up with other countries because of relationships they have.
Yeah.
So they call it bilateral
Yeah.
relationship. So I think those countries were picked based on the relationship we
Right.
have. And because I think the countries, I think all of them speak English. It's English speaking
I think
countries, right?
Mozambique, they speak something else. I'm not sure. I think they speak.
Mozambique speaks, they speak English. They are
Possibly. I'm
Mozambique.
also not too
Yeah,
sure.
they speak
Okay.
English. They speak English and Swahili,
Mm-hmm.
right? Yeah. So I think maybe they prefer the English side,
Mm-hmm.
and then with
All
maybe
right.
the
Yeah, yeah.
relationship.
So the
But
report coming from wrap it
yeah,
up. Yeah, yeah, I'm
continue,
listening.
continue,
Yeah,
continue.
the
You
report
continue.
coming from the Japan, this initiative is saying that Nagai City in Yamagata Prefecture is expected to be named as the hometown for Tanzania, right? Kisarazu City in Chiba will be hometown for Nigeria. Sanjo City in Niigata will serve as hometown for Ghana. And Imabari City in Ehime for Mozambique. Now, the reasons that they're saying they kind of designate these different places to, these countries is because there are pretty much like the original, you could call it like industries in those areas are pretty much stuff that they can link to the country they're associating with. Example, if you pick a place, okay, let's say an example. You pick, let's say, Accra, right? And Accra does a lot of cocoa, right? It's not Accra,
Yeah.
but I'm just giving an example. So it's like if you kind of like linking, let's say, Burkina Faso to Accra, right? It makes sense because Burkina Faso, they have maybe like, a lot of like, young or the youth that will be interested in learning how to harvest, how to plant, how to, export cocoa, stuff like that. So they're linking it based off of what mutual understanding of what
Or
the
what they
African
manufacture.
counterparts need, yeah, and what those
Yes.
industries in that area, hometown, also
Also,
need. So they're saying it's going to be a link that, of course, the African market will bring some development into those industries in those areas, but then also the Africans would also gain somewhat skill set and stuff like that to link it back to their home countries.
are they
So it's
allowed
a
free?
win-win situation.
Are they allowed free movement?
I think
as
so.
in
Yeah, I
moving
think
their
there's
way.
I
Yes,
think
I
there's
think that
nothing
one,
like them
yes.
being
Yeah.
confined to that
then,
particular
then
spot.
there's no
Yeah.
need for us to cry. It is an opportunity for whoever feel deem it fit that okay, I want to go and hustle my way through that kind of system. It is a choice. You have to
Yeah,
make
yeah,
that
but
choice.
what people are saying is that why don't you just let them kind of like live amongst the populace, right? People can live wherever
Yeah.
they want to live. Why
No,
are you confining them to
that
these hometowns, right?
okay. The thing is not necessarily that is where the job is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those cities, that is where the jobs are actually.
Yeah.
So if that's why I just asked you that is it open? Can they move around the
Yeah,
country
of
without
course, sure.
any
Yeah.
strings
Yeah.
attached? Then
Yeah.
cool.
Mm-hmm.
Then go to that place. That is where the work is. Yes, it
Mm-hmm.
is a Ghana town, but if you go to the Ghana town and you cannot find a job that you think you can do, you can equally go to Kawasaki, Hiroshima. You can go to Osaka. You can go that one. It is open,
Yeah.
right? If it is like that, then I don't see the
Actually,
negative
yeah,
this
you're,
thing.
I'll cut them a little bit of slack and say that, yeah, it was
Yes,
stated clearly that the hometowns doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be restricted to that area. It just means that it's
Yeah.
a place that they are creating where there will be support facilities and services
Yeah,
for
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
people who are
I think to
coming.
make it more convenient
Convenient.
for the
yeah.
people
So
who are coming in,
yeah,
right?
for
Yeah.
instance, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
cutting you guys, but for instance, Henumoye Jane, you have
Mm-hmm.
feelings, right? There is feelings. So you get to the Ghana town in Japan, and you realize there are too many men, less women. It is hard for you to get something to go
Mm-hmm.
by every now and then. You can go to Osaka or some place and find something for yourself. If that opportunity is there, oh my brother, count me in.
Yeah, yeah, but the thing
See
is,
what
even
he's talking.
I mean, the locals actually
No,
on the ground are complaining because there's been people from I think the Nagai, what do you call it? Yeah,
that
let's see.
guy.
Okay, the Japanese government is saying it's baseless and there are no plans to promote accepting immigrants or issue special visas, right? So it's nothing special. It's usual, like immigration visas and like work permits and whatnot. So people are actually not happy about it. The Nagai people saying the government needs to really clarify why Tanzania is like being allocated to the hometown. But the thing is, the government is saying it's a cultural exchange program. So there is no problem or no concern. But people who are actually of African descent, some Africans have lived there for quite some time, they also keep saying that at the end of the day, it's just because the Japanese government, they know and understand how Africans are treated in Japan. Because there have been systemic racism in Japan against
Yes.
Africans. So they're
Hmm.
saying, I think the Japanese government is just trying to avoid that kind of problem. This is why they're creating the hometowns. So people do not live amongst the population to kind of go through this kind of like, crazy, racial profiling and
Yeah.
whatnot. So could that be the main ulterior motive, right? Could that be the motive behind this,
I've been in
hometowning
Asia for a long time.
Africans?
I've been in Asia for a long time, and
Mm-hmm.
systemic racism is all over the place. It is everywhere. But for me, the simple question is: are they allowed to move around and do their thing and live their lives?
Yeah, yeah, that
Dating,
there's no doubt
Yeah.
about it. Yep,
yeah.
they're
So
allowed.
so so if it is allowed, then you find your way. It's a system, so find your way out of it. You understand?
Yeah.
How best can I live my life without falling into the traps or into trouble? And we know this racism thing will forever be there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, but at the end of the day,
live
though, I
your
mean, do you do like on a broader scope of things, right? Do you think it's a good initiative, right? Because the African migrants will really learn some sort of like
I,
skills and
I
take it
tell you
back
why
home.
it is good. I
Mm-hmm.
tell you why. It is because of our shitty governments.
Mm-hmm.
These are facts. Because if with all our resources and it always go back to that, because if you have all these resources and still your people are hustling, they will jump on such opportunities, right? There are people who have made it so much in let's say in Ghana, for instance, and they travel abroad not to really work, just live their lives a little bit. Me too, I've been here, take pictures, and then they go back
Mm-hmm.
home. Why? Because life is comfortable for their
Mhm.
family. So if we all have it like that, a lot of people will not take this opportunity.
Yeah. I think, yeah.
You understand? So no government should actually be
Mhm.
sorry, no government should actually be proud of it. Because I also heard about Serbia also giving that kind of, you know,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
opportunity.
I think that I'm just critical of the whole thing when I hear that they are setting up hometowns. But like we said, to the extent that they will allow the Africans to move freely, and then maybe if you don't find opportunity somewhere, you know that okay, I can go back to my hometown, which is whatever prefecture. That is a good thing. Once the restriction is not there, I'm all for it. But I'm also
No, 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 no. I don't think you can decide to come in based off of that initiative, live in the hometown, and say you're gonna go look for work somewhere else. I feel like there's gonna be a structure that
So
kind of like
that
yeah, yeah,
exactly, that is
put
why I said
you
they
yeah.
should
like
come in. Just
specifically into a
what is the
particular
Yeah.
structure?
hometown for a specific field,
I
right?
think I think
Exactly. What
yeah,
is
in
the
that
No, no, I
yeah.
mean confinement. As in, you are allowed to leave, go to town, go shopping, sightsee, and whatnot. But I think you will be allocated a place because don't forget, you pretty much coming in with nothing.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
you're
but
probably gonna need some support from the government. So they would allocate those places for you. But I think it's gonna be some. I'm not really sure, but I think it might be of like a contractual nature. You know what I mean? You'll be paid this amount for work per month. This is your, accommodation and stuff like that. But of course, you're free to go sightseeing and whatnot. But you can't say, I'm gonna quit this job and go look for a different job, like, in a different city.
Yeah, that's where that
Because it's an
yeah.
initiative.
Yeah, that
You know what I
that's
mean, right?
where
It's a cultural exchange
I think
program.
they have to come out and clarify it properly. But
that's
then
it.
if
That's all
if
I was
anything
to
what
say.
we are saying is anything to go by, then I think it's for me personally, I think it's some form of racism. Because if you look at what happened in the West during the during slavery and even after slavery, segregation
Yeah.
close to us, South Africa.
Yes.
It's not that the Africans were not allowed to move around. They were allowed to move around, but there were certain areas they were
Yeah.
not allowed to go, and there were certain things they were not allowed to do. So that's where I'm saying that for me, if they can come to the hometown and settle, and then like Steven said, oh, okay, I've worked here for 2 years. I found another job in Tokyo, so I'm going to Tokyo. If I'm allowed to do that,
Nah, nah,
if
nah,
I'm allowed to
nah,
do
nah.
that,
I
Yeah.
if
think
I'm allowed
I
to,
totally
Then
disagree.
then
let me
that
finish
then
my
then
point.
then
If
then,
I'm allowed
then,
to
then
do that, then I
yeah.
have no
Mm-hmm.
problem with the program. But when they say that, yeah, you can travel and go and spend money somewhere else on holiday, but to earn money, you must live in that village, then I think it's another form of slavery. It's a
Yeah, yeah,
copy,
yeah,
No,
yeah.
it's
I totally
a
disagree.
clear
Let me tell
copy
you why.
of what happened in
I got
slavery.
your point.
And the fact that it's targeted at Africans makes it even more true.
Even worse.
Exactly.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Let me tell you why I disagree. I
Hmm.
disagree because it's just like anything else. There are something. I mean, there's something called terms and conditions, right? So this is why there are contracts. You sign up for something, knowing exactly what you're getting yourself into. So if based off of what's on that initiative or whatever, like initiative agreement, if you sign it and it says you are going to be living in this particular place and you'll be provided with this much salary, 3 meals a day, whatnot for the next 3 years or the next 5 years, right? Which literally we all do here. If you have an agreement with the company here, you sign a contract. You it literally says you cannot work for any other outfit. You cannot work
Yeah.
for any other company, be it part time or full time or whatever, right? So I think it's going to be something like that. That since you are in a contract with this particular company based off of this initiative for the next 3 years, you're working for us. You can't just quit anytime you want and say, I found a job, yeah, I'm gonna go do it. So I think we have to be careful throwing around the word racism. I think it's a very good opportunity for those who
No,
also are
but
like
let me
willing to learn, some skills and bring it back home, set up businesses and whatnot. But let's not forget. Let me give you an example. Do you know in Ghana actually there was a thing I think a couple of months ago that the President Muhammad's administration, right? They've kind of I think designated like some huge mass of land plot for African Americans repatriating to Ghana. And people
yes,
were
yes.
saying the same
Yeah.
thing. Why are you
Yeah.
separating our brothers and sisters coming back home? Why aren't you integrating them into society so they can actually understand the African way of doing things,
Yes.
get involved in the cultural process,
Let,
and get themselves acquainted with the daily lifestyle of people? So would you call also that segregation and racism? Because these are African Americans who are coming back home to
exactly. Let,
Ghana.
let me add to let me add to that point. It's quite debatable because it happened to Liberia, right? The Liberian War. When they were coming, we gave them Bujumbura to stay.
Mm-hmm,
That
mm-hmm.
that was where we gave them, right? but they were allowed to move around and do stuff
Hmm.
freely,
Yeah.
right? But that is where they're supposed to be. So yes, you can read and put connotations on it, which is equally fine, because that is sometimes that is how it looks,
Mm.
especially when things are not properly explained.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
They need to
understand?
come out
You
clear.
you mentioned terms and
Yeah.
conditions.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
come out clear and then let us know. Okay, fine. They can come in every year. We give this number, right? You need to meet these qualifications, and then you can come in. You can move around anytime. Maybe
Mhm.
even after 2 years or 3 years, you're allowed to work somewhere else if you if
Yeah.
you feel like you don't want to be in this
Hmm. Hmm.
community
Yeah.
anymore. Are we allowed to go to a Nigerian community to get a
To
city to
eat
get a
eba.
job? But no, not eat alone, but to let's say I don't
Hmm.
fancy the jobs in the Ghanaian
Yeah.
city. Can I move to the Nigerian or the Tanzanian
No,
place to
no,
find a
no. I
job?
feel like that's what I'm saying. Innocent
These things
until
needs to be
proven guilty.
explained. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it needs to, but that's what I'm saying. That in recent times, the only news available to us is pretty much what's out there. We don't really know the details of it. But I'll make an example, just like Mr. L. He went to school in Europe, right? So if it was based off of a scholarship, you know what the terms and agreements are. You cannot just
Even
go to
here,
university,
same.
3 months, and
Yeah.
you're gonna be like, nah, I want to quit and go to a different university. No, it doesn't happen like that. Your scholarship is with a very specific school. So you get in there, you finish your 3, 4, 5 years. Once you're done, you're supposed to probably go back to your own country. If not, I'm sure there are like processes that you can, apply for to either stay, switch universities or whatever. So I think it's gonna be the same thing. As in, I mean, think about it. Even if you get a job with a factory or company, sometimes they do have like housing, right?
Yes.
Which are
Hmm.
like dorms, dormitories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you cannot just say, oh, I'm just gonna go stay anywhere. They put it close by the factory or company so you have easy access, right? Back and forth.
Yeah.
So it's something like that. But of course you can go shopping
Yeah.
sites,
That's what
whatnot.
I'm saying. If
You know what I
it
mean? So I think it's going to be something like that. I'm just giving the Japanese government the benefits of the doubt.
No,
that's what
no.
Steven, let me come in.
Listen,
That's
for
what I'm
me,
saying, that if
yeah,
they should come out and explain it clearly, because right now it seems like it's something that is real, because I've seen it respected media houses. They should come out and explain
Mm-hmm.
the nitty-gritties properly. But besides the criticism, I'll also go and also soften on them a little bit and say, I think if genuinely they have good intention for this, to help the Africans to settle in properly and all that, then I think maybe they're learning from examples of many countries where, sorry, they are learning from other countries' experience. I mean, recently we've seen that in Canada they've had to cut down on their immigration because they allowed
Mm-hmm.
too many people in within the last 5 years, and it created so many problems, like housing problems and all that. And so maybe to make it structured, to make their immigration structured, which they really need because they have an aging population, to make it structured such that people can come in, have a place where they can settle with all the support facilities. Because you don't remember, you need to learn the language, you need to learn their work culture and
yeah,
all
it's a
those
whole
things.
process.
So
Yeah.
maybe they are trying
Yeah.
to open up, but they are trying to do it in a structured way so that it doesn't become like what other countries have faced. In that case, then I think it's a really good initiative. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a really good point to me.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying. That
that's
probably
a
this
good
whole
point.
hometowning thing is to make it
Mm-hmm.
more, like you said, well structured, easy to track your workers, easy to know how people move,
Yeah.
easy to also, like you said, provide certain kind of services. Because I mean, I'm not gonna say not everybody. I don't think anybody that comes onto this program
Mm.
speaks
Yeah.
Japanese, right?
Yeah.
So
The
probably.
wording. Sometimes this information is the wording of like how they word it, and then it looks like, oh, they are, But I always say, as trying to explain things a little bit
Mm,
sometimes can help, because it is not a bad um, opportunity that they are
Yeah.
offering people.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
understand?
Honestly, for me, the one question just comes to mind is why now? Do you understand what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Is it because they have like a huge aging population?
It is.
So
That
they're
is it.
trying to get these migrants in to help them develop their society or country or whatever you might call it? Or is
That's
it
all.
something they really want to like, initiate just to help, like they
Nah,
said, cross
nah.
cultural,
Mm,
like,
Nobody really gives
So
handouts.
for me, that is the question. That's the question on my mind. Is it why now?
Okay, let me listen.
Mm-hmm.
If it's for your first point, I think that is what it is. Because already I know there are people in Japan already with paper issues or visa issues, right? So they can quickly change, issue them the visas they need to stay in that country. So why do you open your arms for more people? How are they going to structure their visa policies that will benefit even those who have actually learned the language and they are there, but they have problems with
Those
things?
who are there, I don't think they're going to be interested because those who are actually there, they're like business owners. Not that they're
But why
business
do
They're
you
owners.
already
think
well
why do you think they will
integrated.
not be interested?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. They're already integrated. They got their own businesses, because we know about it. Because you cannot live there without like these
Yeah.
documentations actually working. It's like China. So
Yeah.
those who are there, they've already kind of like found their way, so to speak. So I think for me, the question that is on my mind is why now? Is it because you have like a huge aging population, you need like replacement for that,
They
or
do.
you actually need
That's
to
the
have like a cross cultural
that's
like
the
issue?
main
Yeah,
reason.
I think
Listen, that's
they've
the main reason.
mhm.
Any other thing,
Yeah,
sorry, any other thing is just an icing on the
yeah,
cake. It is because of their aging
yeah. I think
population.
they've actually admitted
Yeah,
it.
but the question. Okay.
Yeah, so the
Yeah.
document
Finish, Mr. L.
the news feed I read, they actually how do you say it? They actually admitted that because those areas have very few people and they are trying to revive those places. So they could have set up other places as hometowns, but those places already have adequate number of citizens living there, and they don't want these cities to
I hope
die, and so they are
I,
trying
I
to.
hope it doesn't snow there too much, because my people.
Great point from the both of you. Awesome. My last, I actually said that was my only question, but I have one more question, then we kind of wrap it
Mm.
up. Why Africans?
Right. That's a good
Genetics,
question.
Why
genetics,
Africa?
genetics.
Meaning,
Let's leave it
meaning what
there.
exactly?
Okay,
Let's leave it there.
well,
Secondly,
you mentioned JICA, right?
genetics, and secondly, we like to have more kids.
This one is, it's being spearheaded by JICA, right? Japan International whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like the British Council or the American AmCham, American
Mm-hmm.
Chamber of Commerce. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so JICA, they've been working in all these countries, mostly in Africa. And I think that maybe
Mm-hmm.
they picked Africa and picked these countries because these are the places that JICA has worked in for so many years. And maybe they can see a potential in like the human resource or basically the human resource. And like we're saying, I don't
Yeah.
think they just want to set up hometowns for Africans for no reason. Or of course, they also want to benefit. They probably have some factories there or some jobs there that they don't have enough people to work in. And so maybe it's a strategy to bring,
Genetics.
because I mean, and they know that most Africans are deprived. And so when they get opportunity, they want to work harder. You can't do this with Americans or Europeans because whether they have a job or not, they have support from the government, right? So nobody's going to come in and help you build your factories and whatever. But they know that a lot of Africans don't have the opportunity, and so it'll be easy to get them to sign up. I think that's probably why it's based on Africa.
All right. Awesome
Genetics.
submissions from everybody. Mr. S, you got something else to say or we wrap it up?
No. I said genetics. I stick to
All
that.
right, cool.
It's done.
So we're gonna leave it to the audience as usual. You guys leave your comments in the comment section. We got two questions for you guys. One, do you think they are, initiating this because of the, huge aging population, and it's not really necessarily because they want to have this, or they want to have
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
why Africa? Why they could have, selected people from everywhere. I mean, Mr. L said it could probably because JICA or JICA has been working, in the continent, on the African continent for a long time. So possibly they saw something, maybe the human resource aspect. This is why they chose to deal with Africans. So two questions really. Is it because the aging population, so there's a more underlying factor to what's going on? Or Africa because, poorest country, people are more eager to go out to look for like, greener pastures. Let us know in the comment section. We see you on the next episode. DLS out.
Peace.